I tried to check out of my hotel, but they said I died here last year. The air on the second floor was thick, tasting of wet wool and something metallic like old pennies. The runner carpet, a pattern of faded, bruised-looking flowers, squelched under my worn-out boot. My room was 206. The brass numbers were tarnished green in spots, screwed into the peeling wood of the door, hanging on by a single stubborn screw. It smelled like a damp basement after a flood. The wallpaper, a pattern of sickly yellow roses, had surrendered to gravity, hanging in brittle sheets that revealed dark, water-stained plaster underneath. I dropped my duffel bag on the floor, the sound muffled by the damp carpet, and just stood there for a moment, letting the exhaustion wash over me. The bed looked like a raft in a sea of decay. I fell onto it. I couldn't have been out for more than a few minutes when the knock came. Not a polite rap, but a frantic, desperate banging that rattled the door in its frame. I stumbled over and pulled it open. The man leaning against the doorframe looked like he'd been running for miles, his shirt plastered to his skin with sweat, but his breath didn't fog in the cool air. His eyes were the worst part. They weren't just scared, they were vacant, as if he was watching something awful happening right behind me. "You have to get out," he rasped, his voice like gravel. "They don't let you leave." Before I could form a question, a voice, smooth as polished glass, drifted down the corridor. "Is there a problem, ma'am?" It was the girl from the front desk. She stood at the far end of the hall, holding a stack of stiff white towels. Her smile was too wide, too fixed, like it was painted on a porcelain doll. It didn't reach her eyes. I glanced back to the man. The doorway was empty. The corridor was empty. There was no sound of a door clicking shut, no retreating footsteps. He was just gone. Sleep that night was a heavy, suffocating blanket. I dreamt of heat, not the warmth of a fire, but the searing, blistering kind that peels paint from walls and melts the soles of your shoes. The sound wasn't screaming. It was a single, prolonged shriek that felt like it was coming from my own throat, raw and torn. I woke up gasping, the acrid taste of cinders on my tongue. That was it. I was done. I grabbed my bag and practically ran for the elevator, my heart hammering against my ribs. Down in the lobby, the same girl was behind the desk, her head propped on one hand, that same placid smile on her face. "Leaving so soon?" she asked. "Yes," I said, my voice tight. I slapped the plastic keycard on the counter. The number, 206, faced up. The room, it wasn't right. She tapped at her keyboard, a slow, deliberate click-clack. The sound echoed in the silent lobby. Then she stopped. Her smile faltered for just a second. "That's odd," she said, tilting her head. "I don't seem to have a record of you checking in." A cold laugh escaped my lips. "What are you talking about?" "I'm in room 206. Her gaze lifted from the screen and met mine. It was flat, empty. "That's not possible. Room 206 is unoccupied. It has been for a very long time, not since the incident." My mouth went dry. "The incident?" She didn't answer. Instead, she rose from her chair and gestured a perfectly manicured hand toward a large, ornate mirror hanging behind the reception desk. "Perhaps you should take a look." I turned. At first, I saw myself. Tired, pale, my hair a mess from sleep. But then the image began to warp, like a photograph held too close to a flame. The edges of my hair seemed to curl and blacken, shriveling into ash. Dark, blistered patches bloomed across my reflection skin. The fabric of my shirt looked brittle, charred at the collar. My own eyes stared back, not with the morning's fatigue, but with a final, frozen terror. The duffel bag slipped from my nerveless fingers and hit the floor with a soft thud. I hadn't woken up from the nightmare. Behind me, the receptionist's smile returned, wider and brighter than ever. She looked past me, toward the front doors, as if she were expecting someone. "Don't worry," she said, her voice a soft, welcoming whisper. We always have a vacancy,